Am I the asshole for kicking my brother out after he trashed my apartment? I let my younger brother stay at my apartment after he lost his job. He swore it would only be for a few weeks. But months passed, and he didn't even try to get back on his feet. Instead, he stayed up all night gaming, left dishes piled in the sink, and never paid a dime toward rent or bills. I work long hours, and when I get home, I just want to relax. But my apartment turned into a frat house. Pizza boxes everywhere, my couch stained with who knows what, and empty beer bottles all over. I confronted him multiple times, but he always said he'd clean up later. The final straw came when I had an important work meeting over Zoom. I told him I needed the apartment to be quiet. Instead, he invited his friends over for a gaming session. They were yelling and laughing so loudly that my boss had to ask if I was at a party. I was mortified. When I stormed into the living room, my brother shrugged and said, "Chill, it's just a game." That's when I lost it. I told him to pack his stuff and get out. He called me a jerk for throwing out family over something stupid. Our mom also thinks I overreacted and that I should have given him one more chance. So, am I the asshole for kicking him out after he disrespected my space? Story 2. Am I the asshole for not giving up my first-class seat for a pregnant woman? I recently booked a first-class ticket for a 10-hour flight. I don't travel often, so I wanted to treat myself. After settling into my seat, a flight attendant approached and asked if I would be willing to switch seats with a pregnant woman in economy. Apparently, she and her husband had bought regular tickets, and she was feeling uncomfortable in the cramped seats. While I sympathized, I declined. I paid for my seat, and I wasn't about to give it up. The flight attendant looked annoyed but didn't push it. A few minutes later, the pregnant woman's husband came over and started guilt-tripping me. He said, "Come on, you're young and healthy. Can't you be a little compassionate?" I stood my ground and said, "I understand, but I paid extra for this seat and I'm staying." For the rest of the flight, I got death stares from them, and even overheard the husband mutter something about how people only care about themselves. When I told my friends about it, a few said I should have just swapped, because it wouldn't have hurt me. So, am I the asshole for keeping the seat I paid for? Story 3. Am I the asshole for telling my mom she's not entitled to grandkids? I recently got married to my wonderful wife, and we both agreed we don't want kids. We love traveling, having quiet evenings, and just focusing on each other. My mom, however, has not stopped bringing up grandkids. She constantly says things like, "When you have kids, you'll change your mind." It was annoying but harmless, until she started telling relatives we were trying, when we absolutely weren't. At a family dinner, she made a toast and said, "I can't wait to meet my future grandbabies." Everyone clapped and cheered, and my wife looked horrified. After dinner, I pulled my mom aside and told her she needed to stop. She waved me off, saying, "It's natural for me to want grandkids." That's when I snapped and said, "Mom, you are not entitled to grandkids. We're not having them. End of discussion." She got teary-eyed and accused me of being cruel. Now, my relatives are messaging me, saying I should have let her have her dream. Am I the asshole for shutting her down so harshly? Story 4. Am I the asshole for refusing to give my ex my late father's car? My father passed away last year, and he left me his classic car, a beautiful, fully restored 1969 Mustang. It's my most prized possession, and I take great care of it. My ex-boyfriend recently reached out saying he wanted to talk. Turns out his car broke down, and he wanted to borrow my dad's Mustang. I laughed and told him no way. He got defensive and said, "You barely drive it. I actually need a car. I reminded him that we broke up 2 years ago, and that my dad's Mustang is not a rental. Then he went on a rant about how I was selfish and that I should do the right thing. I told him the conversation was over, and I blocked his number. Now, mutual friends are saying I should have helped him out. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my ex use my dad's car? Am I the asshole for ruining my sister's wedding over a dress? Am I the asshole for refusing to wear the bridesmaid dress my sister chose? My sister is getting married soon, and she asked me to be a bridesmaid. I was honored, until I saw the dress she picked for me. It was a bright, neon orange, skin-tight gown with ruffles everywhere. I hated it, but I didn't want to cause drama, so I tried it on anyway. The problem? The dress was completely see-through. No lining, no slip, nothing. When I pointed this out, my sister laughed and said, "Oh, just wear some nude underwear. It'll be fine." I told her I wasn't comfortable wearing something so revealing, and she flipped out. She accused me of trying to upstage her by making a fuss. I offered to buy a similar dress in a less sheer fabric, but she refused, saying I had to wear exactly what she picked. The final straw came when my mom told me to just do it for the wedding. I stood my ground and said, if I can't wear something I'm comfortable in, I'm out. Now my whole family is furious, saying I'm being dramatic over just a dress. So, am I the asshole for refusing to wear it? Story 2. Am I the asshole for exposing my friend's lie about being a doctor? I have a friend, Jake, who has always bragged about being in medical school. He constantly gives people unsolicited medical advice and acts superior, like he's the smartest person in the room. Recently, at a dinner party, he went on a long rant about how people are too dumb to understand medicine, and that he has to dumb things down for others. Someone asked him which hospital he was doing his residency at, and he got super vague. I found it odd, so later I did some digging. Turns out he never even went to medical school. He had dropped out of college years ago. At another gathering, someone brought up his doctor career again, and I casually said, "Oh, Jake isn't actually a doctor. He never went to med school." He turned bright red and stormed out. Now our mutual friends are split. Some say I just exposed a fraud, while others say I humiliated him unnecessarily. He sent me a long text saying I ruined his reputation. Am I the asshole for calling him out? Story 3. Am I the asshole for not letting my best friend propose at my wedding? My fiancé and I are getting married next month. We've been planning this for over a year. Everything is set: venue, food, decorations. Then my best friend, Mike, pulled me aside and said, "Hey, can I propose to my girlfriend at your wedding?" I was shocked. I told him no because I didn't want my wedding to turn into someone else's engagement party. He kept pushing, saying, "Come on, it'll be romantic. You guys will be part of our story forever." I told him this is our day, not his. He got annoyed and said I was being selfish. Now some of our friends are siding with him, saying I should have shared the love. Am I the asshole for saying no? Story 4. Am I the asshole for telling my roommate's girlfriend to stop eating my food? I share an apartment with my roommate, Ryan. He recently started dating a girl, Sophie, who practically lives with us now. The issue? She eats my food, all the time. I meal prep for the week, label my containers, and even told her politely to stop. But she keeps doing it. One day I came home starving after work, only to find my meal half-eaten in the fridge. That was it. I went straight to Sophie and said, "Stop eating my food. If you want to eat here, buy your own groceries." She pouted and told Ryan I was rude to her. Now, Ryan is upset, saying I'm being territorial and that I should just share. Am I the asshole for putting my foot down? Am I the asshole for telling my dad's wife? I'm not her son. My parents divorced when I was 10, and my dad remarried a woman named Lisa a few years later. Lisa always tried to force a mother-son relationship with me, even though I already have a great mom. Growing up, she would introduce me as her son, even when I corrected her. She'd get upset whenever I said stepmom instead. It was uncomfortable, but I tolerated it. Now that I'm an adult, it's gotten worse. She made a Facebook post on my birthday saying, "Happy birthday to my amazing son. I'm so proud to be your mom." My actual mom saw it and asked why Lisa was claiming me as hers. I was annoyed but let it slide. The final straw came when I visited my dad's house, and Lisa told her friends, "This is my son." I immediately corrected her, saying, "Actually, you're my dad's wife, not my mom." She looked hurt and later told my dad I was being cruel to her. Now my dad is upset with me, saying I could have handled it more kindly. Am I the asshole for setting the record straight? Am I the asshole for not letting my friend borrow my wedding dress? I got married last year and spent a fortune on my dream wedding dress. It's custom made, and I cherish it. A few weeks ago, my friend Jessica, who's getting married soon, called me and asked to borrow my dress because she couldn't afford the one she wanted. I told her I didn't feel comfortable lending it out. She got super offended and said, "You don't even need it anymore. What's the big deal?" I explained that it's sentimental to me, and I'd rather keep it in perfect condition. She told me I was being selfish and that she thought I'd be a better friend. Now, some mutual friends think I should have just let her wear it, for one day. Am I the asshole for refusing to lend out my wedding dress? Am I the asshole for taking back a gift I bought for my sister? My sister just got engaged and I wanted to surprise her with a gift, her dream KitchenAid stand mixer. It was expensive, but I knew she'd love it. I gave it to her at her engagement party and she was thrilled. But then her fiancé made a joke that annoyed me. He laughed and said, "Oh, great. Now you can finally learn how to cook." My sister just laughed along. A few minutes later, I overheard her tell a friend that she was going to return the mixer for store credit because she'd rather buy a designer bag. I was hurt. I spent a lot of money on something I knew she had always wanted. If she didn't want it, she could have told me. Not acted excited, then secretly planned to return it. So I walked over and said, "Hey, if you don't want the mixer, I'll just take it back." She looked embarrassed but handed it over. Now my family says I was petty and should have let her do whatever she wanted with it. Am I the asshole for taking back the gift? Am I the asshole for refusing to babysit my sister's kids for free? I work full-time and have zero interest in having kids. My sister has 3 kids and constantly asks me to babysit. I don't mind helping once in a while, but recently she's been expecting me to do it for free every weekend. Last weekend, she asked me to babysit for 10 hours while she and her husband had a date night. I told her I was busy, and she said, "Come on, it's just watching TV with them." I told her I'd do it if she paid me since it's basically an entire workday. She got offended and said, "Family doesn't charge family." I reminded her that she pays babysitters all the time, so why should I do it for free? She called me selfish and said I was a terrible uncle. Now, our parents are saying I should help out more. Am I the asshole for refusing to babysit without payment?